would you have ever thunk 1st of June, 4th of June, that Matt Scherzer and Chris Sale would both be healthy and have losing records? Here's Scherzer, 3-5. He's already struck out 117, a 3.06 ERA, a 1.13 whip. Let's look at his last 3 starts. May 22nd, 6 innings, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts against the Mets. May 27th, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts against the Marlins. And then Sunday at Cincinnati, 8 innings pitched, only 3 hits, only 1 earned run, and 15 strikeouts. 3-5? Are you kidding me? Get him with some bullpen help. Let's see what happens. Cubs would benefit. Nationals would benefit. Who else benefits? He's not going back to Boston. How about Tampa Bay? There's a dark horse, right? There's really a dark horse. How about Houston? How about the Dodgers? As loaded as that offense is, can you imagine adding another great arm to that bullpen with Kenley Jansen out there? I mean, if the Dodgers were to get Craig Kimbrell, is the National League officially over? I'm just saying, what a good ad he would be for several teams. But no team, I think, would he help more than the Nationals, who are 6.5 out. But they have to make that decision. Are we going to be buyers or are we going to be sellers? Okay. Other players. We've talked about Alvarez. We talked about Tucker. We talked about Caboon. What about Jorge Mateo out in Oakland? This past week he hit 364, homer, stolen base, making consistent contact, striking out about 5% less than last season. Jurickson Profar below the Mendoza line. And Mateo could add a spark to that Oakland A offense. They lost 5 in a row. They got swept by the Astros. Just about the time you're feeling good about the swinging A's, they lose 5 in a row. So I'm wondering, can Jorge Mateo, could he infuse some energy? Because that's what rookies do, right? They infuse energy when they're talented. And Mateo is that. Jorge Mateo, former Yankee great, of course, traded over to Oakland. Here's another player. And I really, fantasy impact much more so than reality, because if and when, I don't think it's if, let me change that. When he's called up, Ryan Mountcastle for the Orioles, he's a slugger. Okay, he's a slugger. Mountcastle missed the past week with a wrist injury. DJ Stewart was promoted. Mountcastle is batting .319. 7 homers. Stolen base. He can play around the infield. He's coming up. I think he's coming up probably right after the All-Star break for the Orioles. I'm not sure where they'll play him. I think it may depend if they trade Mancini. It's a possibility, certainly. If they trade Mancini, it's a perfect fit. Mountcastle comes up and plays first base. I think he's going to come up in July. Luis Urias. I don't know if you noticed it today. I check all my sources. I listen to this network. I listen to the podcasts. I go online, and on CBS Sportsline, the most looked at player in fantasy today, kind of by far, is Luis Urias for San Diego. Okay, this was earlier today. And I screenshotted it because I couldn't believe my eyes. So let's look at that just real quick. In looking at the looks at Urias earlier today, okay, it was like 1,100. I sent a copy, or 11,000, excuse me. I sent it to Chappie because I couldn't believe it. He was at 11,212 looks. The next closest competitor was Smeltzer, the pitcher for Minnesota, at 9,418. So he was almost 2,000 more looks than Smeltzer. So I'm thinking, has Urias been called up? Almost every site you look at is saying stash him. Well, here's why. He's hitting .355, 13 homers, 4 stolen bases, walking at a 13.4% clip. Kinsler's hitting under 200. He has a 2-year, $8 million contract, so it's not a lot of money. So why not bring up Urias at the same time you recall Tatis Jr., which is this week, and let's see what those kids can do for the Padres. Now, here's a guy I've never mentioned before. Okay, you ready? Never mentioned this guy before, so it's a mystery player. Are you ready for this one? Jacob Wilson for the Nationals. Talking earlier about the Nationals possibly being sellers. Well, if they are, Jacob Wilson, .340 in May, 5 home runs. He's a third baseman. You could see Wilson and you could see Kaboom both with the Nationals if they become sellers right after the All-Star break, folks. Just saying, he may be in deep league, somebody that you want to stash. Braden Bishop for Seattle. I think he's probably going to get called up sooner than later. Seattle is in sell mode, okay? Bishop's an outfielder. He hit a grand slam this past week. He has a .324 batting average, 4 home runs, 2 stolen bases in the last 2 weeks. Okay? His playing time should translate to more because his skills are good. Bishop will be an improvement in Seattle. And potential trade chip there for the Mariners would be Domingo Santana. If they get rid of Santana or Haniger or Malik Smith, look for this kid to come in and start playing. Okay? Breaking news, Phillies outfielder Andrew McCutchen is out for the year with a torn ACL. McCutchen is out for the year with a torn ACL. You're hearing it first on Arnie's Fantasy Sports Network. So if you're a McCutchen owner, you got to find a replacement, and you may have one built in there in Philadelphia, as we talked about earlier in the show. McCutchen out for the year with a torn ACL. Other players I want to be looking at to stash that I think will make an impact. And I want to go over through some minor league numbers here with you, okay? How about Brendan McKay? The thing I love about Brendan McKay in Tampa is he's at AAA. His first start, he threw 6 innings, 69 pitches. They're keeping him around 65 pitches. He threw 5 innings in his last start with 6 strikeouts. He's a former number 4 overall draft pick, 2017. Okay? Great starts, limited exposure, just enough to keep the arm fresh, just enough to keep him stretched out. He's going to be in Tampa Bay sooner than later, pitching for the Rays. At AA, a 1.30 ERA, 62 strikeouts and only 9 walks, a 172 batting average against. Keep your eyes on Brendan McKay, the number 29 prospect in all of minor league baseball. How many of you guys are in dynasty leagues? And how many of you guys can trade for Luis Robert of the White Sox? Double header yesterday, 1 for 3 in game 1, 3 for 4 in game 2. Hitting streak now at 13 games. He's 21 years old. He's hit .417 during those 13 games with 10 extra base hits, 13 runs scored. He has a .339 average in 30 games since his promotion from High A Winston-Salem to Double A Birmingham. He's a legit 5-tooler. Shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, he's gotten better after the promotion. And so Chappie's on the chat room. Chappie, I saw that before you posted it. I've already announced it. McCutchen is out for the year. I announced that about 3 minutes ago, but thank you for sending it to me. You said a few minutes ago they need Luzardo, Oakland. You're right, and he's coming up soon. He's my next one to talk about. Jesus Luzardo is a pitcher that's going to be in Oakland probably by around the 1st of July. The A's need him desperately. Yet another prospect to be looking at. And here's another one for you Dynasty League hounds. What about Seth Beer for the Astros? He's at Double-A. He's a 2018 first-round pick. Played at Clemson College Baseball. Third baseman, outfielder, first baseman. He can just flat play, guys, okay? He has a 3.28 average, 16 RBIs in 17 games. The 22-year-old since being called up to the Texas League. He torched the Class A Carolina League. I saw him play this year in person. He had a 3.28 average there with 9 homers, 34 RBIs. Makes great contact. Has great power off the bat. Seth Beer, outfielder, first baseman, third baseman for the Houston Astros. Oh, okay, I got you. Chappie's saying I am the first one to report that McCutchen's out for the year. Way to go. It is. It's time. It's beer time already. It's Seth beer time already. You're right. Ronnie Rodriguez, pitcher for Texas. Class A Hickory, 18-year-old. Dynasty Leaguers, pay attention. I've been doing my homework. Okay. He threw 73 pitches in a 5-inning win where he struck out 9. 52 were strikes. He has an electric arm, a plus fastball. He can hit 98. A high-spin curveball. I don't know if you've looked or not, but the Texas affiliate, Down East Wood Ducks. That's the team. That's my home minor league team, okay? The Down East Wood Ducks. That's where Ronnie Rodriguez hangs his hat these days. The 18-year-old, and if you're in a dynasty league, look at adding Ronnie Rodriguez. One more bit of bad news on top of the Phillies losing McCutchen for the year. Odubel Herrera. He's still on administrative leave through June 17 as the league investigates an alleged domestic violence incident occurring or alleged to have occurred, rather, on May 27th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He was arrested then on a charge of simple assault. His arraignment set for June 17. In all likelihood, I'm in the court system, guys. I know how it works. In all likelihood, that arraignment will not resolve anything. You can look for that administrative leave to continue. If this court date is like so many other court dates, I will be surprised if he plays the rest of the year. Okay? So if you're an owner of McCutchen, it's time to cut bait. If you're in a year-to-year league, if you're in a yearly league with Herrera, do the same thing. I just don't see him playing this year. So, how about a little good news? Tatis Jr., he's coming back sooner. You like that? Tatis Jr., he's coming back sooner. Is that better than my singing of My Soroka? I don't know which one's better or worse, all right? But here's some good news on Fernando Tatis Jr., who is coming back sooner. It's because he played 9 innings last night in his first rehab game. You know, a lot of times you go to rehab and you play a few innings and then you come out of the game. Not Tatis. He played all 9 innings at shortstop. He went 1 for 3 with a double, 2 walks, and a stolen base. Wow. Playing like that, all out, with no problems. I can see a short rehab assignment. I can see a quick return to the major leagues. Look for Tatis Jr. back with the Padres this week. I'll tell you this much. While he was playing with the Padres, they had a winning record. And since he's been out, they've had a losing record. So they want him back. And they want him back as quickly as they can get him. All right. Halfway through our show, man, my time, it just works out perfectly. Okay. What I want to do now the rest of the show is look at our games for tonight. Look at some starting lineups. We're going to go through this a little slower. Okay. And so we'll start with the Pittsburgh Pirates hosting the Atlanta Braves. Can we do that? Yeah. How many Braves fans do we have out there listening on YouTube, listening on Facebook? How many Austin Riley fans do you have? Oh, probably a lot, because these guys are just exciting to watch. Well, tonight, excuse me, It's the Atlanta Braves visiting Pittsburgh. Max Fried. Yeah, Max Fried starting for the Braves.